Well, hello there, my YouTube gang. What's up? It's Joniversity again, and this time I'm actually responding to the Young Turks. Now, it's not that hard to find material to do videos on when it gets to the Young Turks. When it comes to Israel, it's really quite easy. With a whopping 816 search results exposing Israel's terrorist nature. Of course, from the 130 results about Hamas turning into a moderate group, I could have made a full fucking feature. Although when it comes to the Kurds, well, with only 19 results that don't even mention the Kurds at all, I wouldn't find much material there. Now, the fact that Kurds get only 19 search results shouldn't surprise you very much, because I don't think you know what the Young Turks are named after. Well, they're named after a young revolutionary group, and here are two little excerpts from Wikipedia about the Young Turks, so pause it and read it if you wish. And just before we start, please pause the video for 1 minute, read the disclaimer, and, just before we start. Now, in this video, I'm going to respond to how the Young Turks managed to portray Newt Gingrich as a raving psychopath and at the same time invent a whole new history that seemed to be taken straight from Hamas's website. But for starters, let's break down what Newt Gingrich said at the Republican debate. Let's go.
Hamas does not admit the right of Israel to exist and says publicly not a single Jew will remain.
لا تقوم الساعة حتى يقاتل المسلمون اليهود فيقتلهم المسلمون.
The Palestinian Authority ambassador to India said last month, there is no difference between Fatah and Hamas. We both agree Israel has no right to exist.
إنه إيش بدنا بالضبط حتى بالجملة بالكلمة بإنه مثلا كان في جملة بتقول إنه إحنا نفاوض من أجل السلام، يعني ما عمره كان هدفنا السلام، إحنا هدف السلام وسيلة لهدفنا هو فلسطين.
They teach terrorism in their schools.
In none of the Palestinian textbooks and maps does Israel even exist. On the other hand, the Fedai or guerrilla and the Shahid or suicide martyr are praised as spearheads of the Palestinian struggle.
Here you have an example from a 7th grade school book. This is a poem called The Shahid. So for example, one of the texts in this poem is, I see my death, yet I hasten my steps toward it.
Somebody ought to have the courage to tell the truth. These people are terrorists. They teach terrorism in their schools.
So the logical conclusion of what Newt just said is,
he just basically said Fatah, Hamas, he listed all the Palestinian groups and then said they are all terrorists.
yes, that's what he said. And I showed you the evidence to prove it.
So all the Palestinians are terrorists, according to Newt Gingrich.
What? No. You just said.
Fatah, Hamas, he listed all the Palestinian groups and then said they are all terrorists.
Yes.
So all the Palestinians are terrorists, according to Newt Gingrich.
No, just a minute ago you said that.
He listed all the Palestinian groups and then said they are all terrorists.
Yes.
So all the Palestinians are terrorists, according to Newt Gingrich.
Well, let's go on.
Newt Gingrich, at the end of last week, called the Palestinian people, quote, an invented people.
Well, not only Newt Gingrich. Actually, Azmi Bishara, a prominent Palestinian leader, said the following.
אני לא חושב שיש Palestinian nation, אני חושב שזה המצאה קולוניאלית, Palestinian nation. מתי היו פלסטינים? איפה זה? מה... זה...
למה ככה?
אני חושב שפלסטין עד לסוף המאה ה-19 הייתה דרום סוריה הגדולה.
Well, he's a politician. You can't believe them. Let's go to a prominent Muslim leader then, okay?
The idea of a Palestinian people is something that was creating recently for political reasons. We easily admit the existence of an Arab people, but claiming that those Arabs who live inside the Israeli territory are Palestinians, and that they form a specific nationality, is something that has no ethnic or historic basis, but just is just based on recent politics.
Now, funny enough, Palestinians themselves say that, at least those who are old enough. And to corroborate what I'm saying, here's our beloved George Galloway.
I said to him, you're 94, that means you were alive before these countries existed. What did you call yourself when you were young? He was astonished. Hadn't thought of that before. Finally, he answered, we were Arabs.
Let's go on.
The idea of a Palestine or Palestinians apparently did not exist, except it's not historically accurate at all. In fact, it's one of the most historically inaccurate things I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, really? I was waiting for this one for so long.
If you go back, Herodotus, the Greek historian, talked about the Palestinians in 5th century BC.
Now, Herodotus, as you might know, was Greek. And the Greeks called this entire area of the Levant Philistine Syria, the Philistine part of Syria. Now, the name Syria was actually given by the Greeks to almost the entire Middle East because the Greeks, the ancestors of the Western world, much like the Western world, couldn't really distinct the different people in the Middle East. And they basically said, well, their own fucking Assyrians, doesn't matter, you know, different peoples, but they're all Syrians, so we'll call them Syria. But where does the name Philistine come from? Well, funny enough, Philistine is a Hebrew word, or the Latin version of the Hebrew word Plishtim, which comes from the Hebrew word Palash, and Plishtim basically means invaders. And those Plishtim were called invaders because they were not from Canaan. And we know that they were not from Canaan because we have pottery that they left behind, which we know is not from Canaanite origin. We know that it was locally produced, but following the traditions and styles of Mycenaean pottery. And what we know today is that the Plishtim, or the Philistines, were probably from Greek localities, and some scholars even say that they are part of the sea people described by the Egyptians. And we also know for sure that they did not speak Arabic. They had no linguistic or ethnic connection to Arabia or Arabs whatsoever, and not even to Semites whatsoever. And it still makes me smile till this day to know that Palestinians call themselves Palestinians using a Hebrew word meaning invaders.
In 2nd century AD, the Romans had coins with the word Palestine on it.
Which is very interesting because you don't have those coins before that. And why is that? Well, before the 2nd century, or rather before 130 AD, you had coins that are known today as Judea Capta. Now, in 135 AD, there was a second Jewish revolt. And when that rebellion got crushed, the Roman Emperor Hadrian was pretty pissed about the Jews and decided to piss them back. And what he did, besides, you know, massacring them and expelling them, he decided that he's gonna wipe all trace of the Jewish state. So he changed the Roman name, Provincia Judea, into Provincia Syria Palestina. Knowing, of course, that Jews have a little issue with those Philistines. Later, the name Provincia Syria Palestina was simply shortened to Palestina, but again, remember, it was Syria Palestina, which might explain why under Ottoman rule, there was no Palestine. there was a strip of land considered the southern district of Damascus. Only in the west did people continue calling it Palestine. And this name was actually revived after World War I, when the Ottoman Empire was crushed and the Western forces took over this area. And now, let's go on.
They've been talking about Palestine and Palestinians for as long as history has been around. You know, the Philistines in the Bible, those are the Palestinians. To say that they're invented, are you saying that a part of the Bible is invented? What else do we have? In 1834, there was a talk of an Arab revolt in Palestine where the Palestinians revolted.
No. It was not Palestinians, you stupid dumb. It was called, please note, the Arab Revolt of the Egyptian conquered part of Ottoman Syria. That was the official name, not in Palestine. That was invented later by the West. And in short, it was simply called the Arab Revolt. No Palestinians, nothing. Arab. Not the Palestinians revolt. And like most Arab revolts, even then in 1834, just a few hundred Jews got killed. Which of course happened again in 1838, where the entire Jewish community of Sefard were also wiped out. So much for Jews having a wonderful time under Muslims.
We don't know a goddamn thing about history. We just run off at the mouth, foaming at the mouth. It makes me sick to my stomach.
So, like always, my beloved YouTube gang, peace, love, harmony. Have a good one, people. I love you all.